Welcome to this video about one of the most important tactical ideas in chess, the so-called battery. Before we jump into an example, first we want to get to know what a battery is. In chess we speak about a battery if the pieces are aligned in a certain way that they are protecting each other. And not only protecting each other, but also when one of those pieces is being moved. So in this case, we have the bishop on b2 and the queen on c3. And if the queen moves along this diagonal, along the c3 h8 diagonal, it's always protected by this bishop on b2. And equally, if the bishop moves to a1, then the queen on c3 is defending it. So other pieces that can form a battery are the rook and the queen, because they share some move range. So the rook goes vertically and horizontally, and the queen can also go vertically and horizontally, also diagonally. That's why it can form the battery with the bishop. But here, in this case, the file matters, and wherever the queen moves on the c file, it is defended by the rook on c2, and if the rook moves to c1, it's defended by the queen. But if the queen moves somewhere else, then it's not defended and the battery is just gone. Another composition of pieces that forms a battery are both rooks, because they move the same way, obviously. So rooks can form a battery along a file or a rank. So if you would have a second rook here, then you would control the third rank. In this case, we are controlling the c file, like this. And now, after we have discussed what a battery is, let's go and look at an actual game. And the game I chose is a very instructive one. It's a classical game between Leonid Stein and Vladimir Lepeshkin, played in 1965 in Tallinn. Leonid Stein was known, or is still known, to be a very forceful attacker, very great player. If you want to improve, study his games. But now, let's go to this position. Before we jump into calculating moves, let's just evaluate the position. So the first thing when you're evaluating the position is, whose turn is it? It is black's turn. This must be given, otherwise you can't just derive that in this position at least. So it is black's turn. Then we look at the material and see, well, after the knight takes on d5, white will be a pawn down. So we can assume white is going to be a pawn down here. The question is, are there any other important components? And then we see king safety, number 3 on our list. So first, whose turn is it? Second, material. Third, king safety. The king on g1 looks very safe because black's pieces are not developed at all. So there is no threat to the king on g1. On the other hand, the queen on g8 looks rather weak because it has no defenders and the pieces are not developed. So maybe we can say this bishop here on f8, but still not a very reliable defender, especially since the weakness is f7, as we will see in a moment. So black plays knight takes d5, and obviously the conclusion of our evaluation is white is much better. Yeah. So black wins the pawn, and now white wants to attack, but there's a little bit of a dilemma. The rook is attacked, and the question is, do we move the rook as the white player, or do we take on d5? This bishop looks very nice here, but Stein played a very good move and took on d5. Bishop takes d5. And something you should recognize here is black's development is really horrible, as we have discussed, and white has already developed the knight to c2, not a great place, and the bishop to d2, also not a great place, but those pieces are ready to be improved very quick, and white can set up a battery already here, like this. So black is in big trouble. As mentioned, white can play queen f3 or queen f1, attack along the f file. Very unpleasant for white, but then the rook here would feel a little bit stuck. Therefore, white plays queen to h5, threatening to take with the queen on f7 or d5. And the queen on h5 is, in my opinion, much stronger, because what white is threatening is to take with the strongest piece on f7. And usually as a rule of thumb, when you're calculating and you are to catch something or capture something, what you should do is usually start with the strongest piece, or calculate, at least consider capturing with the strongest piece first, and that's obviously the queen here. So queen to h5, f7 is attacked twice, black must do something about it, d5 is not really defendable, so queen to e7. And now comes the battery. So here you see white has already formed a battery. That's very unpleasant, especially because it puts more pressure on the weak f7 square. And now black can't get a third piece to defend that f7 square, so black decides to move the f-pawn. And now white just continues. Bishop to c3 sets up the potential of a future battery, but we will see this in the very end. And now black plays queen to f7, a mysterious queen move, but what black had realized is that white's attack is overwhelming, and therefore black is trying to exchange off the strongest pieces, the queens. Very logical. Of course, white is attacking, doesn't want to allow this, and plays queen to f3 here. Queen to f3, a very good move. Still some pressure against d5, but now the pawn is defended, for the moment at least. Rook to a6, and I believe this is the only good move played in this game by black, because it's defending the f6 square. Knight to d4, white brings in more pieces into the attack. Bishop c5, of course, as mentioned, white doesn't want to let black exchange pieces, so knight to f5. And black plays d6, trying to still exchange the knight for a bishop, but by playing d6, black has shut down the rook basically, so it's limited and can't defend f6 anymore here, as mentioned. And now, exactly for this reason, white has a very brilliant move, which is knight to h6 check. The queen and king are forked, so black doesn't have a choice, has to take on h6. Now comes rook takes f6. And as mentioned, the queen on f7 was defending the pawn on d5. So not only is white taking on f6, but after the queen moves, white just takes on d5 with check. The king has to move, or a piece must be put in between. So if the king moves, this is obviously a mate here after rook f8. So the rook is checking and the bishop is also checking, so double checkmate. A discovery check and a double check, a discovery double check. Very rare and very beautiful. In the game, therefore, bishop to e6 was played, and white played rather calmly. Queen to e4. Keep in mind, white is down a piece, but white has a strong attack, and just look at these rooks, they are not in the game. In the game, black continued with bishop takes e3 check, and after queen takes e3, black just resigned. The problem of black here is that there is really no good move. So let's give black just a 0 move, and suddenly it is white's turn again. What's the idea of white here, and why did black decide to sacrifice a piece and then just resign? The idea here is rook g6 check, and now we see, okay, the battery here on the f-file was very nice, but now it's time for another battery, the bishop and queen battery. And this works the following way. Black has two moves here. Either queen to g7, then comes rook takes g7, check, and after king h8, queen h7 mate, or h takes g6, far more logical, and now you see another very powerful battery, because now black has only one move. The bishop is covering this square, the rook is covering this square, so the king can't move anywhere. The queen goes to g7, only legal move, and queen takes g7. And now you see, oh, this is a battery again. The game is over, it's made, but enabled by the bishop on c3, and here in the end we have a battery again. So first, white made sure to put pressure on f7, and then set up the battery on the f-file here, and then just put more pressure, brought in other pieces, the knight, the bishop, and finally managed to get into this position. A very beautiful game, and one that is surely worth studying. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next video.
Hey, check this video out to make sure that you get more important information to bring your chess to the next level.